What up, everybody? January 6th is getting exposed for what it was. The shamans to be set free. Tennessee banned child transitions, and Fauci's getting some fire. And the UK health secretary is under some heat because he was texting about the new variant, and we're going to scare the pants off of people with this one. It's all kinds of goodies. They're lying about everything. Stick around. Every day that I'm reading Twitter, I just go, oh, okay, this is a pretty huge story. And then the next day I go, oh, more of that huge story. This is way worse. Okay. Yeah. And then I go, I wonder if anybody knows about this. And I ask somebody random at a grocery store and they'll be like, what? They pull their mask down to explain. I'm like, oh, all right. We are not on the same page here, you know?
What's on the docket first, sir?
Well, I want you guys to see this Jim Jordan video. That's the first thing I think I want everybody to see.
Start with the good old Jim
Jordan. Yeah, I want you guys to see that.
Congressman Jim Jordan. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for being here.
Good to be with you, Maria.
You've got two upcoming hearings this week, the subcommittee on COVID, and then, of course, the weaponization of government. Yeah. What are we going to learn this week, do you think?
Well, first on the COVID issue, understand that on January 31st, 10:32 p.m., 2020. So right at the get-go, Dr. Fauci gets an email from Dr. Christian Andersen, which says virus looks engineered, virus not consistent with evolutionary theory. The next day, he gets another email from Dr. Gary. Now, these are doctors he's handed out our tax dollars to over the years. Dr. Gary's email says, I don't know how this happens in nature. It would be easy to do in a lab. That same day, February 1st, 2020. So again, right at the start, that same day, Dr. Fauci organizes a conference call. Him and Dr. Collins get on there with Dr. Gary, Dr. Anderson, all these other virologists. They get on there, and 3 days later, everybody changes their story. The same guy who said this would be easy to do in a lab says, oh, now you're crazy if you think it came from a lab. The same guy that says, I don't know how this looks engineered, he changes his story. And then the kicker is, 3 months later, those same two doctors, Dr. Anderson and Dr. Gary, get a several million dollar grant from Dr. Fauci to continue their research. So the fundamental question is, why was Dr. Fauci so consumed with making sure the narrative wasn't about the lab? I think it's because they were doing gain-of-function research there. He didn't want that out. And that was the narrative that everyone on the left bought into, even though the facts and common sense, maybe most importantly, pointed to the lab leak theory.
I mean, this is something that we should all agree on.
Yeah, it is something everybody should agree on. This is not something that, you're not allowed to run from this. This is let's I always shrink it down to a village size analogy. If there was 100 people in a village and one dude was over in the corner cooking meth and then trampled meth and then walked into the nursery and all the kids started throwing up violently. And then we were like, oh my God, there's apparently meth ingredients. And then everybody knows that he was making meth, but we're not allowed to be like, hey, did this come from a lab? You know what I'm saying? We're not allowed to act like this is the biggest problem. Bro.
Right.
You did this with our tax dollars.
And it's
most likely, allegedly.
Right, exactly. The fact that they've been saying since 2020, no, not a lab leak, don't know what you're talking about, came from a bat, whatever.
You're conspiracy theorists.
You crazy people.
You idiot.
Over and over, the Senate hearings, Congress, over and over, no. And now we're hearing that they were sweating because they were suggesting that it was engineered.
Right, they were saying it.
Right,
the professionals of the professionals were like, this definitely could be done in a lab. This makes more sense. I don't see how this shows up in nature. And then we, dumb folk, are like, were they messing with the lab? Is this come from a lab? And then everybody just slams us, you idiot, you conspiracy theorist. How about nobody sees any of your content for 90 days for saying something that dumb?
And I didn't even pay attention. The first time I saw that clip, I didn't pay attention to the dates. In 2020, this was right at the beginning. So now we have to scrutinize everything that Fauci has said and all those other doctors involved. I don't really recognize the other names.
Right, me
but
neither.
I'm pretty sure they're pretty high up there because they're being mentioned, and they had that kind of control to change this whole narrative. That we need to look at everything. We need to, maybe even normies can look at that. Maybe the last 3 years were a complete farce, because I think we still have conservatives that are saying it's such a deadly, this was an awful pandemic. And I just don't think, it was.
I don't think they get it.
Right.
I don't think even like regular conservatives understand like this didn't happen to you upon the course of human events naturally.
Right.
Look, the largest wealth transfer in human history came after it. You think that people that were in the positions of power to massively benefit from the largest wealth transfer in human history didn't have a hand at creating this problem? You know, and it's like, I mean, say it, 100 people in a village, somebody would hang for this for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
People lost their livelihoods. Some of them their literal lives because, like, you know, they might be unalive themselves because they were so depressed because they lost jobs, because some businesses couldn't stay open. I mean, the amount of damage that was done, the amount of damage from top to bottom, just in every facet of our society, of the world, but our society in particular.
They denied natural immunity also that they could basically get these passports ready to go.
Right.
Now they're setting up 15-minute cities that need the passport system essentially. Like it's all the same thing, bro. Here, this guy did a great summary the other day. I watched this video and it was basically a guy saying, look, there is an elite group of people that the U.S. military and the idea of the United States that me and you have, when we wave an American flag, we're thinking freedom from tyranny, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom. That's what we're thinking. Those are all good things. But America that was founded on that and built the strongest country in the world has been sold. Our military is sold to the highest bidder to basically reposition. It's the largest, most forceful tool they can have. The globalists, as they call themselves, right? The elite, they buy it and they pimp it out and they do what they want done and they use us to do it.
Yes.
Our economy and our military is just a tool for the elites to do this kind of a thing. And it's like, that's just the truth, you know? And so everybody's starting to realize this though. They don't have much time left.
I hope so. I really hope that this wakes people up because that is a big deal. That is a big deal because of the amount of lying just on that subject alone. The whether it was engineered or not engineered. Just that one little yes or no question is already a huge problem with this information that we're seeing now. That, oh yeah, it was, and they were lying. Some bigwigs were lying. Remember their hero, Fauci?
Right.
They wrote books about him. They had freaking pillows.
They let him throw the pitch out at the damn game.
Yes.
Which he biffed entirely. Speaking of which, big players lying, pull up this UK variant thing. This is a text message from Matt Hancock, which is the health secretary of the UK.
And he's talking to Damon Poole. And we found out he was some sort of political advisor of his.
We frightened the pants off of everyone with the new strain. When do we deploy the new variant? So they're talking about things that these people are not supposed to be talking about. Human beings are watching this and they're going, oh no, a new variant happened to us. Oh, that darn COVID, it crawled into a closet and morphed with a skeleton and now it's COVID plus. Ah, man. You know, and it's like, but these people are just beating the brakes off of humans to get them to behave the way they want, which is what Damon Poole's message says. That'll get the behavior change that we want.
Yep, that's what will get proper behavior change. And then he said, Matt Hancock says, when do we deploy the new variant? You're sitting here thinking, as a citizen, you're sitting here thinking, oh, the news and these people who are supposed to be journalists, they work for the people and get us news as it's supposed to come out. We're supposed to get when someone is, you know, I don't know, hit by a bus or whatever. We don't find out a month later. You're going to tell us like the day of or the next day. It's coming in time. Right here is they're planning out the time in which to tell us this news. Wouldn't this be, if it were real and not planned and nothing was engineered, including these releases of variants and things like that, why is it being planned?
Right. And I don't know if they're saying, when do we release the information about the new variant?
I think information.
Because I don't think they're going, release Delta.
No,
you know what I'm saying? Like, these guys aren't at that level. But either way, if you're watching this, you've got to be going, all right, dude, like, obviously I can see Oz behind the curtain. He keeps accidentally hitting the curtain and I can tell that it's a man behind there. And this is weird now.
It's so weird. It's getting so weird. Like, look, we are literally looking at them planning out breaking news. Breaking news is breaking news because it's like, oh my gosh, this unexpected
happening
thing.
Right now. It's breaking.
Oh yeah. They're planning the breaking news. This is almost all of it is fabricated. And that, again, the trickle-down effect and the things that we have to question after that is so much more substantial now that we're seeing all this stuff is coming out. Yeah, I don't know. This should anger everyone.
It should. Everybody should be mad about this because it's not like this would have happened in the course of normal human events. No.
Right.
This was made in a lab, whether intentionally or unintentionally leaked, it doesn't matter. They weren't supposed to be doing it in the first place. They weren't supposed to be doing this kind of research in the freaking first place.
Obama was the one that actually did that. Obama was the one that ended gain of function.
Right.
So that's a Democrat leader who said, don't do that. You're not, made a law. And they were doing it behind the government's back the whole time.
Well, and they were also doing it in the Ukraine as well. Apparently they were doing it. So I wonder why we're sending all this money to Ukraine now, guys.
I was going to make a comment about just the guy when he said the proper behavior. It's literally saying we're controlling you with this and your fear.
Right. That'll get us the proper behavior change that we need. Oh, are you pursuing something? Yeah. Heavier volumes of compliance. Ah, okay. Are you guys all righteous? Like 100% righteous in whatever you guys say is best for humanity? Or are you like a normal human like the rest of us that we can decide that maybe you're a worse person to lead anyway? You know, that's the thing with all these elite people. Right. Is with them being rich and wealthy, they think that they should have a say in the way that life exists for all humans, which is one of my fundamental problems with abortion as a whole. You and me both got to come through the door of creation for free. I did nothing to earn my right to be a human, but I got to walk through the door. And other people are going, no, you don't get to come through the door, even though it was life was a free gift given to them. Life was a free gift that was given to Bill Gates, and his existence was allowed to prosper in a specific way because there wasn't somebody at his level attempting to control how much of the sun his mom and dad got to see. But that's like a normal thing now. I don't know if you've seen this or not, where they're talking about blocking out the sun in order to prevent, whatever. And it's just like, dude, it's like the primary, it's like a big medicine ball. It's healthy for you. What? Vitamin D. Like the last thing you want is the government taking away more of your crap. But they already do it. They starve you of nutrition with your water and your food, and now they're doing it with your air, and now they're doing it with the freaking sunlight, man.
They're trying to. Well, like you said, these elites think that they know better than us. And to me, the perfect example, the perfect hypocrisy is wagging their fingers at us about climate change as they all take individually, they don't carpool, individually take private planes to this very luxurious area to have this luxurious summit on how we're going to wag our finger more at those peasants down there.
Right.
And then they're going to go on their private jets. I think somebody did a map of how many private jets went to
Davos or whatever.
Thank you. I couldn't remember the name. And it was a crazy amount, but it's just that they think, they get to enjoy the private jets, even though they could have carpooled some of them. But no, we're going to tell you that maybe you shouldn't even drive down the street with your gas car, but I'll drive my private jet.
I think the ratio was something like for one day of them using their jet is more than you can accomplish in 100 years of your normal life or something. Like,
really?
Yeah, it was there was some tweet about Taylor Swift because Taylor Swift was going off about climate change. Then it was like Taylor Swift uses more in 1 week than you use in your whole lifetime or whatever of CO2, I guess, or whatever. And what's interesting is at the airports now, they have these options where you can offset your carbon emissions cost, and you can just voluntarily decide to pay a little extra for something, and you end up basically offsetting the carbon emissions, which pretty soon it's not going to be voluntary. They're going to say this is a normal fee starting in California or whatever, and then it starts to just go everywhere or whatever. It'll start there. But speaking of lies from big people, I want to show this Tucker Carlson video blowing up the January 6th narrative. It is full bullshit, everybody.
Footage from inside the Capitol overturns the story you've heard about January 6th. Protesters queue up in neat little lines. They give each other tours outside the Speaker's office. They take cheerful selfies and they smile. They're not destroying the Capitol. They obviously revere the Capitol. They're there because they believe the election was stolen from them. They believe in the system. Here's the man you've heard referred to as the QAnon shaman outside the Senate chamber. These are not rioters. These are people who wandered over from a political rally.
We will not let them silence your voices.
After the rally, they walked down Pennsylvania Avenue, where organizers had secured a federal permit to hold a legal rally on the grounds of the Capitol.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Once at the Capitol building, things began to get chaotic. Capitol police officers fired tear gas into the crowd. A few at the front of the herd broke windows. Someone opened the doors, and many hundreds of others just walked in.
We're going to make that the story.
Of course, they did make it the story. And at the center of it, the single most famous person arrested that day was a Navy veteran from Arizona called Jacob Chansley, often referred to as the QAnon shaman.
The so-called QAnon shaman. QAnon shaman.
Someone named Q Shaman.
Jacob Chansley became the face of January 6th, a dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive. What did Jacob Chansley do to receive this punishment? To this day, there is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us into the building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Yeah. Shoot him. Like, you burst into the United States, if he was dressed like bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him. Shoot him. It makes you wonder, who are the violent extremists here? Not Jacob Chansley, and the video proves that. But you would never have known from the media coverage.
The people sitting in the chairs need to be sitting in a jail cell.
Chansley is in a jail cell. He's been there for months. If he was in fact committing such a grave crime, why didn't the officers who were standing right next to him place him under arrest? Until now, no one could even prove that even happened. But it did.
Ooh.
This pisses me the hell off. Do you know how many people they are letting out of jail saying that their second-degree murder wasn't so bad, or even a first-degree murder? Oh, right. Not enough evidence, because even though the DA knows they could probably get it, but let's just throw them out because we need to make sure, keep people out of jail. We need to make sure they can have a second chance. And they go and kill someone else.
Right.
And this guy, that's what he's sitting in jail right now.
Right.
For that, for being escorted around.
Probably not just regular jail. Probably solitary confinement or something like that. But that's a lot of these scenarios. Now, like, some of the people have killed themselves in the jail because it's been such a torturous. I saw one video of the guy holding up his water bottle. He had a water bottle that's obviously been reused 100 times, and he puts on the sink where he gets his water from, and it's just brown water. And he's like, showing everybody how bad it is. Look, that's not the only lie that they told. There was significantly, they lied about everything. Like, there's a Cory Booker. You remember Cory Booker? He's the dude that looks like the not funny brother of the Key and Peele guy. Yeah. Right? Yes, he looks like the serious, and like Key and Peele seem like they would joke him, Anyway, that's what this guy looks like. But I want you guys to hear this. This is about Brian Sicknick, right? The video.
Who's Brian Sicknick?
Brian Sicknick is a Capitol Police officer, right? Who they say, which we've known for 2 years, this isn't quite true, but I want to just go ahead and go through the story with you. Right. I want you guys to hear the way they talked about this guy, Brian Sicknick, okay? Play this video, Jeff.
In the name of love, of country, and countrymen and women. Officer Sicknick is the very definition of a hero, and he deserves to be remembered for the richness of his life, the way that he loved the devotion that he gave this nation. That he is no longer with us today is a grievous tragedy, and it is also a crime. This great man was murdered. This crime demands the full attention of federal law enforcement officials and anyone who still harbors doubt about what happened here on January 6th should think of him. On January 6th, when extremists, when terrorists, when white supremacists attacked our nation's capital, they took the life of one of our officers. They spilled his blood. They took a son away from his parents. They took a sibling away from their brothers. They committed this treachery while waving flags, claiming solidarity, some of them with law enforcement. But it was hate, it was hate, it was hate that brought terror to our capital and the death of one of our sons.
You can literally tell he's reading. You can literally tell he's reading a script. So he says,
3 times.
White supremacists, terrorists, whatever, killed this guy, murdered him, spilled his blood, stole one of our sons, took one of our sons, whatever.
Murder is literally
they murdered, all of which were a lie. This man, number one, the only altercation he had with people was getting sprayed with bear mace. That was it. And
as
then,
many other officers did.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he was totally fine afterwards. Tucker Carlson has a video of him later that day wearing a helmet and everything and showing people to a different room or whatever, acting completely fine. He died of a stroke, and there wasn't even manslaughter charges. There wasn't even manslaughter charges against the people that messed with him. Yeah, there was nothing. Right. I kept saying that to everybody, like, find me one, for the most deadly day in American history, as they keep claiming this is, find me one murder charge. Find me one charge of insurrection.
Or anyone that passed in the area, in the actual area. All these people were off site that passed that day were all natural causes or like a car accident or something like that. Or
even PolitiFact walked it back.
Really?
Yeah, even PolitiFact, because at first they said that he was bludgeoned to death with the fire extinguisher.
That's what I remember.
Which in New York Times right now still has it on their website.
You're kidding.
That not the fire extinguisher part, but that he was killed by whatever.
Unbelievable.
So, Tim Pool put it up on his Twitter that the New York Times still hasn't taken it down. And it's just like, man, they lied about every freaking thing about this whole deal.
I mean, can't they sue for some sort of defamation? And the poor kid in jail, that's all. It was all a lie that he broke in there and did all that stuff. He needs to be let go.
I mean, so apparently there is something inside of legalese terms that if you, as a prosecutor, intentionally hide exculpatory evidence of the person you're prosecuting because you come across it, you're in trouble. That's a crime because you knew they were actually innocent, and you had the evidence and you didn't come forward with it or something like that.
I didn't know that.
Well, so the video footage for a lot of this stuff proves that they are not guilty of what they are being charged with in a lot of cases. Now, some of them are not being charged with anything, and that's maybe why they're not being charged with anything yet. They haven't had a date for trial yet, because maybe if they would have levied charges against them, they would have had to produce some kind of evidence or gone over the evidence or something like that.
It eventually becomes public knowledge or public record, right? Once a trial's finished.
I guess.
Yeah, you can go and look. I think so. I believe unless the judge specifically seals a case or a juvenile's involved. Once a case is done, you can go and look through every single piece of evidence, every picture, every video, because it's public knowledge. You should be able to go to your court and just go and look through old files that have been tried and are closed or done. So they probably didn't want people seeing that, because you're right, that footage would have been used.
I mean, it would have been completely, it would have done what it's doing to everybody now. Oh, Where's all the AK-47s and explosives they were supposed to have since they tried to sabotage and completely thwart the government of the United States? Why are they all slowly walking in and taking pictures?
In between velvet ropes.
In between velvet ropes. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't people breaking windows.
Right.
There were. But from multiple sources on the ground, I know that they were saying, stop this person from hurting our property. Like the conservatives that were there were going, don't you break the windows. That's our house.
And there was word that there was like BLM activists in Trump hats and a bunch
and
of
FBI agents.
Oh, yes.
Informants, people that they still won't admit. But Ray Epps apparently lied too under oath. Ray Epps says he was somewhere, and it turns out he was not where he said he was under oath. So
will he get in trouble?
I doubt it, but we'll see. Look, guys, what's happening in the world is coming to a head. Everybody's finding out. The only thing that hasn't happened yet is people haven't risen up against the government.
I know, and this is
I don't
the
know.
truth.
I don't know when they're going to start doing that. I'm not going to do that. I would never. But
me neither.
Somebody is going to do that at some point and go, this is ridiculous.
No, I agree. It's crazy. And you know what it is that this is just the truth coming out. Their stories are crumbling because what actually happened is coming out, which is really sad how much that narrative was controlled and how much these people, conservatives, were just hated and loathed by the left because the media and their talking heads, the lefty talking heads, manipulated the minds of all the people out there, all their followers.
What was the phrase you said? The lie goes around the world twice before the truth even gets its pants on?
Yeah, I think Mark Twain said that. I'm not sure, but yeah, that's just...
I mean, that just seems to be the case, man. That just definitely, especially when politics are involved. The whole point of it was to essentially criminalize Trump so that he couldn't run again because he was a threat to the establishment.
Right. No, I agree. And then, though, now we need to also, as conservatives, we need to be questioning those asshats like Liz Cheney and Mitt Romney, Liz Cheney in particular, being one of the people on the J6 committee.
Right.
Wanting to essentially hang these people if she had her choice. And say, why the F you? I know you saw this footage. So why did you keep saying, oh no, January 6th? Stuff kept coming up and people, even the lefties were like, yeah, I don't think anything happened on January 6th. This was before this came out. People were starting to say, yeah, I'm not really interested. Nobody would watch the committee hearings. They tried to put it on a primetime spot on NBC. Did. Nobody would watch it. Liz Cheney kept trying to bring it up. And there was bigger issues happening.
Full
gas
propaganda.
prices.
We need all the propaganda possible. Give a spotlight, give it this. It's like what was that thing that was happening? One of the politicians was trying to do a thing and nobody, I think 11 people showed up to it. AOC was having some big propaganda. It's they're using all the tools, but you cannot get the people to give a shit because they know it's propaganda.
Right. But
they've lost the narrative, man. They've lost it. Now, I don't know that the average person over the last 4 years, 3 years, whatever, that was paying attention is going to go back into their mental file cabinet and go, oh, I was wrong about January 6th. Let me see here. You know what I'm saying? But everybody that was paying attention is going to become so poignant and sharp about how they know they were lying now that whenever they come in contact with a literal conservative person, the conservative person is going to have a wealth of information now to go, oh, yeah. You mean the guy that the police followed around the whole time and kind of escorted him?
There was a tour guide.
Yeah. So because of that, it will either get more divided, which is what they hope for. Because if we talk for 3 hours together, we win. That's the problem. If I sat down with anybody that's hard left and we talked for 3 hours, at the end of the 3 hours, I win. And so I think they know that. So they want division because it's better for them. And the other thing about this is not just this delusion is not just playing out in one category. It's playing out everywhere. And whenever you have a moment that breaks the delusion, everybody flips out, which is what's happening with this law in Tennessee, where Tennessee is banning essentially child transitioning.
Gender affirming care.
Yeah, gender affirming care. Tennessee is banning it because they believe it is dangerous and harmful mostly to children.
There's also drag restrictions in there as well.
And drag show restrictions, right?
So I think that's good. I mean, I can't believe we have to put a law on this. It's the same way at the strip clubs that no, you can't let a small child in there either.
Right.
I don't know if there's.
If I saw a kid in a regular strip club, I would be like, dude, you shouldn't be in here, bro.
Exactly.
I don't even cuss around kids.
Right.
Except my own.
I was gonna say.
Except my own.
I was gonna say me. I was like, oh.
I don't know. I don't mind saying ass and damn and shit.
No,
I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mind saying and
there you go. But yeah, I mean, this whole thing, the fact that there had to be a law, but this whole thing, yeah, they're trying to say that now that is under attack, that gender affirming care is saving lives. And this law, they say, oh no.
You're going to create more sides.
Right.
Would you rather have an alive daughter or a dead son? Right? Watch Dylan Mulvaney. Pull this video up of Dylan Mulvaney.
Yes.
His reaction to this whole thing, or their reaction, her reaction, whatever you want to call it. I don't care.
Hi, it's day 357 of being a girl, and we haven't caught up in a while. So much happening this week, a lot of positive things, but it feels a little odd to sit back and celebrate trans joy when there's so much hurt and hatred in the trans community right now. And while I've taken steps forward this year, it feels like society has taken 100 steps backwards, and we are so in the thick of it. And I kept thinking that all this transphobia and anti-trans legislation was just gonna like go away, and that it was like Voldemort's last dying breath, like, I hate trans people! And then it would end, but it's actually gotten stronger. And we have kids being forced to detransition, drag is getting banned, but the most shocking part is that they are now saying that trans people are child predators. And I don't know about you, but to me that is one of the most serious accusations someone can make. And yet it's being thrown around so lightly for an entire group of people. Like, hello? I see these comments on my posts that are like, stay away from my kid, you're a groomer, pedophile. And I can't even believe I have to say this right now. I don't want to be friends with your children. If they enjoy my content, then great. But if you need to block me, then so be it. But those comments and labels, like, it makes me feel sick to my stomach, and it breaks my heart. Like, how did we get?
Why in the world would we think that?
Really?
Why would we think they're doing that? Bring up this other video, Jeff. Why would we think that it's and nobody's saying this is all trans people, by the way. Nobody said that.
There is absolutely no such thing as a family-friendly drag show. What there is, however, are weak, insecure, and cowardly adults who seek their approval and validation from children. What also exists is weak, insecure, and cowardly parents who seek their approval from the gay community via subjecting their children to sexually explicit material and watching their children's innocence being robbed right in front of their eyes with a stupid smile on their face. Like, who is having more fun here? This mom who is virtue signaling to a room full of adults that she supports the gay community, or this little girl who has been placed on a chair surrounded by a room full of adults watching a man in underwear dance for her, and she has no idea what is going on? Let's look at their faces. Who's having more fun? Is it her or is it the mom? Because this is definitely not for the little girl. This is for the mom.
Okay, go to the other one now.
Honestly.
Yeah. Why do they think, why are they all thinking that about us? Why do we think that they're doing things like this? Because they are doing things like this, and it is over the line. And if you don't think they're coming for your kids, pull up this next video.
Okay, guys, this video is going to be a bit long.
Stop telling trans people that we're inspirational.
Stop telling kids to go on your Patreon and chat to you privately without their parents knowing.
And then a lot of people made stitches of me saying I'm transphobic, I've done a lot of bad stuff, they've even attacked my scarf, my religion, a lot of bad stuff, which I don't want to go into. And these people have also said they are not talking to the kids. Okay, so I did a little bit of digging.
Hi kids! Hey kids! I want to talk to the kids. Hi kids! Hey kids!
So yeah, there's a lot of videos of them addressing kids. Now, the main video I want to talk about.
Your parents screwed up. It's okay to say so. That's why I made a Patreon.
So you want to talk to kids whose parents have screwed up? Why? Why you want to talk to these particular kids? Why?
That's why I made a Patreon, so that we could talk about it, so that we could connect in a way that has more privacy, so that we could talk to each other in a way that's more open and stuff that we wouldn't share like in the comments of a video like this. I think you're worthy. And
so you want to talk to kids on a social media platform privately about topics that cannot be talked about in the video of TikTok's comments sections. Because why? Why you want to do that? Why you can't chat about these topics in these comments? Is it because it might get flagged or something? What could be the reason? Could this be one of the reasons? Going no contact with the kids' parents? Because you say in one of your videos how kids can go no contact with their parents. So you teach kids how to go no contact with their parents? Is that what you're teaching them on Patreon? Or is it this? You're teaching this more on, because this video might get flagged. That's why I don't want to say the word. And this is Jeffrey Marsh's Patreon. You talk about this topic with kids. Now here are just some of the signs of grooming. Literally one of the first ones. Gaining access and isolating the victim. Asking them privately to go on Patreon and talking to them privately so you can connect. And then showing these kids that you trust them, you love them, you'll keep their secrets and to keep them isolated from their parents. And then the icing on the cake is this video.
Hi, beautiful. If you do not have a family that loves you, I'm going to be your family.
No, you can't. You are a stranger on the internet. You are not their family. Oh, and another thing. You can turn off age restrictions on Patreon. So kids can go to Jeffrey Marsh's, their Patreon.
Wow.
I mean, she did exactly what I would want done.
It was kind of true. Like, I haven't heard his stuff like put in like that, like compiled. I've seen like little clips of him there and there, and then people do a commentary, a long commentary. I've never actually watched a lot of his content like that. The way he talks did make me kind of feel it's kind of like,
you come speak with me.
Yeah,
I'll take care of you. They don't love you the way that you should be loved. I'll listen and we can talk in private. It's like, bro,
it's very predatory.
If I ever heard, let's pretend I was at a concert or something and you walked up to my kid and we're talking to her like that on site, my guy, on site.
Yeah.
It would be problematic, dude. On site, you would have a conversation with,
and you'd be questioning adult, why are you saying these sentences to my kid if you didn't want to get that kid away from me? But look, he's looking for people who don't have very involved parents or he's trying to convince them that their parents are bad. Like, he has a video.
And you know whose parents aren't involved? People whose both parents have to work all the time.
Right. Or single mothers.
Yeah, people who have been incentivized by the government to not have a man in the house.
Yes.
People who are basically trained in school to do the beginnings of what this guy is talking about. How do you want to, these teachers sending out emails before the class ever begins, how do you want to be identified with? Do your parents support this? Remember they were sending those emails out, even in Virginia they were doing that.
No, I was about to say, right here.
Yeah, like it is not just one groomer. It is it's systemic grooming.
It's a whole culture. At this point, it's a whole culture that we're seeing, and it makes a lot of money. Freaking Dylan Mulvaney was at the White House. Isn't actually a girl, but because he's doing the however many days of girlhood, 265 days of girlhood, and he is meeting with the President of the United States. Right. Unbelievable. And all he had to do was put on women's clothes, and then he would do these very insulting videos like being scared of bugs and saying, I wrote a scathing email and I said I was fine when I wasn't. How am I doing, ladies? Like, kind of like the worst stereotypes of him. Not that some of them weren't true. It was funny, but not for where he is now. Now I'm kind of like, okay, this went totally the wrong. I thought it more of a parody account.
Yeah, but like the fact that it's like,
no, this is like for real for him.
Yeah, like if there's a such thing as last week we talked about culture appropriation.
Right.
Like now they've just men are taking over all women's accolades at this point. They're better at, like, if they could get pregnant, which so far they can't, according to biology, that's still factually true.
Right.
If they could, I mean, ladies would be out of luck, man.
I think a lot of women do feel. They do feel like you're putting on woman face now.
Is that how you feel?
Sometimes I do think it's kind of like that because it's all, you know what it's all centered around? It's all centered around what he just said. Oh, a feminine looking face, boobs, and whatever the hormones, if they give them a little hips or whatever, and then whether or not you're going to lop off your diddly bits, I don't know, and turn it inside out, whatever they do with it. That's not the same. And even them taking synthetic hormones, not the same. Ours go like this all the time. And you can't help when you're going to cry about something that you shouldn't be crying about, but you can't help it. Or after having kids and your hormones are all over the place, or having a period and having to deal with it and all those hormonal changes, and that happens so many times in a woman's life, that's just based on that alone. That's not the same. You're not the same. And it is kind of like a joke for them that it's all about like, oh, dressing cute and this and that. Oh, well, I'm a woman now. I know what you are. I have cute skirt on and I'm taking some estrogen.
Yeah,
no.
And to pretend. Imagine if I had to do that in blackface. If I wore blackface, started, basically doing cultural things that black people like to do and was like, no, I'm black. I qualify to be seen as having experienced all of the oppression that they have, and I'm here. And you can't fight me. And by the way, I'm taking her job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at all the records they're breaking and all the different sports and things like that. And it's like, you're telling me it's the same thing? The Olympics or whatever.
They just lost the case.
They just lost the case. I don't know about the Olympics. What was it?
It was a powerlifting thing. I don't know if it was
Olympics. I think it was USA powerlifting division or something.
Yes, and they lost the case.
They lost the case, so they have to let us biological men compete with women, and it's just like.
But yeah,
this isn't fair.
Invaded, right? We're being pushed out of our spaces now. When it comes to the sports,
from the people that were supposed to be women's rights champions.
Right. Exactly. No, I think that's just it. It's not. It does. At this point, it does feel like woman face. I'm sorry. Because that's all it's being. Oh, you look like it, get some surgery and get TikTok followers. That's what it's like to be a woman. There you go. No. I mean, that's all we're talking about here because there's nothing else. And then taking medals in places, something that's easy for them, for a biological man to do, like, let's say, swimming or powerlifting. That's, for them on a medium day, would still blow our records out of the water.
That's how Zuby got famous. Zuby, the black guy from the UK.
Yes.
He identified as a woman right before a deadlift, set the world record for women's deadlift in that particular city or whatever, and then went back to being a man an hour later. He did it just to show everybody that you could do it or something. That was like how, I guess, I don't know how official it was, but he did it and it went like viral.
I remember that.
And it was just like, duh.
I mean, we're not going to have women's spaces anymore, and it's happening. And there's people that are going
children's
to abuse
spaces.
It. Or children. I was about to say, yep. People are going to abuse it. Like I think a lot of the activists called us crazy for saying that. Hey, we do agree that there are truly transgender people, truly, that are dealing with this, and they do what you got to do.
Gender dysphoria is real.
Gender dysphoria is real. Thank you. But there are sickos that are taking advantage of this movement for their own personal gain in whatever way, whether it be monetary, whether it be some sort of perverse
sick
pleasure.
Fetish.
Yes, that's what they're suggesting about the Leah Thomas, the swimmer, that there might be some sort of
because the awkward
fetish?
thing about that was that Leah Thomas didn't get rid of her downstairs.
No.
She still likes girls.
I know.
And stands in the dressing room or whatever in the
locker room
and just stares at them.
Is that what the girl was saying? I haven't seen her whole interview.
What one of the girls said.
Well, they found some evidence of some sort of Instagram profile of his that it was a very, I think it's called autogynephilia. some obsession with wanting to look like a woman and do that kind of stuff, they get turned on by it. But again, going back to it, is the original point is that yes, there are perverse people who will take advantage of the people of who you're trying to truly be nice to, which is truly transgender people. They told us we were crazy. Don't you have a video too that has somebody taking advantage of this identity crisis
Jeff,
as well?
pull up the public park, the full-grown man in the baby outfit.
I mean, this is happening. How many incidences are not being reported that people are like, just get out of here? Did he say why not? Did I hear why not?
I don't know what
It sounded like it said why. He was saying why not? Yeah, like
we're just at another level, man. This is a whole nother level. If you think that where this, like no history, no country, no group of people has decided to let people do this type of deviant, weird behavior and fast forward 100 years and still be a legitimate society later on.
I was about to say,
this is the end.
Sodom and Gomorrah, is that like the city was destroyed?
One of.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't see this ending well, you know. And the interesting thing is, when you listen to Putin's speeches, he's saying really normal shit. He's like, men and women matter, religion matters. Go look at any of the ancient texts. Some kind of structure is important, and they're throwing everything they've ever believed out the window. Like he's saying that about the West, and it's just like,
what?
This guy's not that extreme in this case.
I was just about to say, we're sitting here saying, you know, Russia's saying some pretty normal stuff. Yeah, like
how are their beaches?
How is this happening?
Are the beaches in Russia nice?
But this is what's happening. Would you say 10 years ago, would have been saying to yourself, yeah, you know what? The leaders of Russia are saying some pretty good stuff, guys, right? Yeah. Would you 10 years ago?
No way.
Exactly.
Not 10 years ago. No. But now in the last 10 years, 7 years, everybody has gone batshit crazy at breakneck speeds.
It's insane. I don't know, the insanity, you're right, it can't last any longer because, I mean, hopefully the normies are waking up. You know, the people are just like, I don't get into this politics and stuff. No, now you need to.
Yeah, we're done. We're done. You're not playing with my kid. That's weird. School, if you say that to my kid at all, I'm going to show up with 1,000 parents and we're going to take care of business. So better calm down, you know? Yeah. And most people are not ready for like real pressure.
Oh, no.
And the interesting thing is on the left is if you like challenge them with this, guess who they call to stop you? Masculine men.
I thought
with
they
guns.
Want to defund.
Right, that they want to defund. And it's like, well, get rid of that. And then this will get solved real fast.
Honestly, though, I think we're at this point.
I think we're at the peak.
If you want to wake up these people, these Democrats and these liberals, if you really want to wake up, just give them what they want. Because at this point, it has to fall apart. It has to. We're fighting, right? And we gain like maybe a little half a step, and then they've pushed us already 3 steps in the other direction. They have so much momentum. They have so much power. And there's not enough people standing up. It's just going to have to fall off the rails in some areas. And unfortunately, yes, innocent people are going to be dragged into this. But in some of these very liberal areas, S is going to have to hit the fan for normies to wake the F up and get involved or do something, because they're thinking, if I just keep my head down, I'll be nice to, okay, you want me to call you a ma'am? Sure. A sir? Okay, I just want to
get my groceries and leave.
Right. You're not going to be able to, because somebody's going to rob you blind with bringing the money in or taking the groceries out. Like, it's going to be that bad.
I'm seeing a lot of these videos now, speaking of robbing, I'm seeing a lot of these videos now of people actually stopping thieves.
I saw that on
and
your
it's
Twitter.
Wonderful. It's just wonderful to see people like, no, how about you don't steal? And the lady has the gall in this country to be like, you're assaulting me, as she's holding her pocketbook full of the store's items that she's stealing. And she's like, call the police. She's assaulting me. If criminals know
yes,
that you can rob people, and if they try to stop you, you can get them in trouble for assault, the system has failed. Period.
And honestly, I think that that's what would happen if they called the police and they said, oh, well, what's happening here? Well, she's shoplifting, but then the other one grabbed her by the arm. They'd be like, sorry, ma'am, you grabbed this lady by the arm. Come with me.
We have to take you in. The DA said in Gotham, this is the way it works.
Exactly. So it has to keep hitting the fan. It has to keep getting worse, unfortunately. Did you see in Portland?
That's what street justice is about, dude. It's just street justice time, I feel like, in the world. People are just going to be like, fine. If they won't solve this, we'll solve this. You know, it's like in India, whenever you see them crazy videos that are like leaked footage of India or whatever, if somebody got caught a little girl or something, the whole town is just taking sticks and beating the shit out of them.
Yes.
Right? And it's just like, well, I bet you won't do that again. You know what I'm saying? Now that you don't have now that your 3 limbs are useless forever, you know, like you'll remember, you know what I mean? Like you'll never forget this. And guess what? They won't forget it. You know what I mean? Like you lost 3 limbs because of this. And I don't know what to say, man. I never would want that. I would want people to have the chance to be rehabilitated and stuff like that. But like when the system has failed and the criminal is winning and the laws are working coinciding with the criminal intent, it's a little bit like,
that's what it feels like.
When in the course of human events, your government ceases to benefit the people and they're doing things for their own unjust means.
Yeah.
There's only one solution to this.
That's how we were supposed to. Isn't that how, like, I think Ben Franklin wrote it, that if the society doesn't fight for liberty, if they want safety over liberty, but won't fight, something like that.
Anybody that
they deserve neither.
Right. Anybody that treasures safety over liberty will deserve neither and lose both.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's exactly what it's showing to be so. Because what are they going to keep doing? Oh, okay, well, that problem, that's what they keep trying to do. Well, that problem, we'll just put another law on top of it instead of like maybe putting it the way it should be, correct, you know? We'll just put another law on top of it. Oh, put another regulation on it. Put another this on it. That's all they've kept doing. We have and now law-abiding citizens, you barely have moved to... You're trying because you're trying.
You're straitjacket.
Right. And then you'll accidentally break a weird law. They'll pull you over the coals. But the guy who just got out of jail for second-degree murder just walked out of the Apple store with less than $900 worth of merchandise. And he's in California. So, no, he gets to walk. He gets to take that merchandise. No calling the cops. No ticket, no nothing.
Right.
I mean, it's insane.
It's a matter of time before this whole thing goes up in a cloud of smoke, dude.
Exactly.
I don't know if America's got it in their tank. I mean, the next 2 or 3 years are really going to determine whether I'm like getting a house in the middle of nowhere or whether I'm sticking around, because it's just, I don't want to be anywhere near people if it keeps going like this, really. Speaking of which, everybody, mindset is everything. Massive supplements. I'm doing a big old fast here soon. I'm going to be having a bunch of ads put out about it. You guys will see, but go check it out on my link tree on Instagram. If you're looking to lose weight, it's a great way to be able to do it. If you're trying to buy all American products that are made in the USA that are less toxic, click the link in my bio on Instagram. It's called Quit Walmart. It's a great way for you to quit buying the shit that the companies that hate you sell you, that hurt you, and buying stuff that's made in America for Americans that love America at just as cheap of a price. So go check it out. Tina, you want to plug anything?
No, I'm good.
Well,
finger guns.
Finger guns. Another great episode, guys. God bless. We'll see you next time on the RossDuhBoss Show, and get ready. We're going to be going live a bunch probably in the next week or two, getting everything ready with this new YouTube channel we're going to have. So just get stoked about that, and see you there.